Good evening. How are there already 12 people on here when I just push the button? That's what I don't know. Magic. Adjust my lighting here a little bit. I apologize for my sleepy eyes. It's been a long day on the road. Hi, Thomas. Hi, Coat. I am ready to chat for a minute. I can't wait to chat with you, man. I appreciate that. That's fantastic. I'm going to talk kind of quietly. I'm not going to get too heated because the family's asleep. I had a long day and I finally had a chance to sit down here where we can chat. So I want to hit on a few points for those of you that are listening after this is being live. What we're talking about is the shooting that happened end of December 2019 in Texas. Why I want to talk about this is not the same reasons that most of social media is talking about it. Most people are talking about it, saying, hey, look what this guy did. Look at this church parishioner that did the right thing. Look at the amazing shot he made. Look at why a draw stroke's important. Look why accuracy is important. And I gotta say, what I'm going to talk to you about, hi Jason, is I'm going to probably piss some people off. In our community of people, when I say community, I don't mean people that carry guns. I mean people that profess to love freedom. And I apologize, guys. I got a point to make before I go to sleep, so I'm just going to hammer it out. So if I don't answer every question, it's not that I don't care. If you've got something that you really want to chat about, send me a message and we'll try to get it to you. Training at carrytrainer.com. So this is the point I want to make. I don't want to get derailed. We are supposedly to profess to love freedom. We profess to love our Constitution, to love life, to love liberty. And in a situation like this, hi y'all, we have people making a circus out of somebody being murdered in a church. And I know everybody involved would say, I'm not making a circus out of it. There are memes all over the internet of people making jokes. And I know that nobody is trying to insult anybody involved. But somebody was murdered. Somebody was murdered while they were at church on a Sunday morning. And we're making jokes about it. We're making jokes. Then, in addition to making jokes, we're using a crime as a good man's action in stopping that crime as a way to leverage our opinions. Look, there's a problem when we talk in a vacuum. There's a problem when we talk in a sense where we all agree. We all agree that guns are our right. We all agree that the founders enshrined our right to keep and bear arms in the Constitution. We all agree that that right should not and shall not be infringed, and we will do everything in our power to stop that from happening. We all agree. So it's sad to me. It really is. It's sad to me that we go out of our way to do the exact same thing that the anti-gun media does with all the stuff that they pump out. It's instead of CNN or CNBC or one of those stations pumping a cycle of the same stuff, hello Vegas, over and over. It's social media and it's gun people sharing the same thing over and over. Hey, guess what? Look at what this guy did. He shot a man in the face through a church. Somebody died. Hey, check this out. A good guy with a gun stops a bad guy. Yeah, we get it. It happens all the time. Something else that I think we need to keep in mind, we keep this narrative going of it's getting bad out there. No, it's not. We're safer than we've ever been. Statistics don't lie. We are safer as a human race than we've ever been. Modern medicine, good food, clean water, warm homes, good clothing, and laws. We're safer in this world than we have ever been. Mick, what do I think of the man that was slow to the draw? I don't think about it. I wasn't there. So my father was a pastor. This is one of the things I wanted to talk about. I am so tired of listening to tactical geniuses on Facebook and other places talking about these types of scenarios. It's sad. It's sick. Do we have something to learn from it? Yeah, we do. We have a lot to learn from it, but it's nothing that we already didn't know without reminding the whole world of a tragedy that happened in a church, without making a murderer famous. These are things we already knew. What do we know? Well, so my father was a minister, and there were many good people that came to the church, and there's a lot of people that are not so good. Maybe they're not right mentally. Maybe they're addicted to drugs. Maybe they're alcoholics. Maybe they're getting off of alcohol or drugs. Maybe they've got some kind of emotional issue. They're coming to church because they're looking to get better. They're looking for answers. And it's pretty normal and natural for people in a church to take in people that are hurting, right? So here, we who profess to love liberty and freedom, in reality, we can fix this. We can ban guns. We can de-arm a population. And listen to me, don't freak out. I'm telling you something till we get to a point. Like, that's one way that society deals with this. You can put metal detectors outside of a church, just like they do grade schools. You can do those things. You can pat everybody down that comes in. And we can do it just like the airport in the name of safety. Or you can have a population of people that are armed, like what we saw here. And thank God that they were there. But I don't even like to say thank God, because somebody still died in a church. So this is humans being humans. And please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. Somebody evil did something evil and somebody good stopped them. But it wasn't the best case scenario. It's very easy for somebody that's motivated to cause injury to cause injury. And we righteous people that follow the law will always be at a deficit of time. So I hate when people say, like, I said a certain thing. Well, I like to say this. Awareness. It is the currency with which we buy time to act. Oftentimes when I say awareness is the currency with which we buy time to act, people think act like draw your pistol. How about act like, that guy looks funny, I'm going to pay attention, or I'm going to put myself between there. Let's see what this guy has to say real quick. I want to see this. Excuse me. Yeah, Anthony, I think you're missing my point, brother. Every day I am so tired of the argument, and I'm going to get to your point. Anthony says there would have been a lot more deaths if it wasn't for somebody with a gun. I'm going to get to that point in just a second. And don't get me wrong. I train people to carry guns. I lobby and fight for gun rights. I think every person that wants to carry a gun or a weapon of any kind should be able to do so as a living creature to protect themselves from the predation of others. But let me get my point out. We have this notion that we can somehow overcome evil with good in a sense of just being faster and better. It is, somebody could give you a hug and stick a knife in your back, and you can't do anything about it until you feel that knife penetrates you. Even then, you may still think about it a few times. Yes, pre-fight indicators are great, but even the greatest people in the world in that field still have to have a reason to act. You see, we can't just act because we think somebody's doing something bad. And I'm going to give you a dose of reality. Most of the population isn't going to spend the amount of time required to actually learn what a pre-fight indicator means, actually really put in the hard work to understand body language, human responses to stress, understand response times to stress, understand stimulus and response time. Most people are never going to put in the months and years to do that. So it's a fallacy to say, got to pay attention to pre-fight indicators. All of these things have been known for a very long time, but they're becoming buzzwords now. So here we have a church, a building full of armed people. What does this guy got to say? I don't know what that means. Hey, buddy, do you think you trained the good guy with a gun response? I don't know what that means. This is what I'm driving at here, you guys, is a room was full of people with guns. We train church security. I work with law enforcement across the country. I work with federal officers. I work with people in all levels of securing and protecting the public. They're all good people. None of them have a magic wand. None of them have a ability to understand the future. A free society as we have is a double-edged sword. As such, we good people will always be, if we choose to live under this flag of liberty. I'm not talking about the American flag. I'm saying this cloak of liberty where we get to choose, we get to be armed, we get to do these things. I'm shaking my head because it's bothersome how much information's out there, and I'm looking at some of the things that some people think and are where their heads at. Don't miss the point here, you guys. The point is that a room was full of armed people, and yet we still have a good person dead. Do you understand? The point is that no amount of training that we have is ever going to allow you to see the future. Yes, train. Yes, be good. The amount of people that I saw jump onto this bandwagon of sharing this video in patting themselves on the back for writing a few sentences that sounded like some tactical gibberish makes me sick. And I don't want to sound like a jerk, but that's what I'm saying. If the shooter shot himself or got shot, who gives a shit? It's not the point. It's terrible. There's people dead. We treat this like it's a social media circus of people saying, "Yay, look, a good guy with a gun," while some family, while some parish or congregation is mourning the loss of a loved one. I won't take part in that. And it's not because I'm morally superior. It's because the point is that man did the right thing. Yes, he's a good dude. Bet you he doesn't feel good about it. I don't know what you're saying, Jeff. No, a good man is dead because it's not about dealing with the threat and all that. That, yes, you can look at it that way. A good man is dead because guess what? There's no guarantees in life. I was driving home tonight in the snow and I watched cars slipping and sliding all over the road. We cannot. At some point, you will be an old man or an old woman. If you're watching this in the future and you're not engaging in real time, I'm sorry if this video feels chopped up a little bit, but I want to get these thoughts out. At some point, you're not going to have a fast draw stroke. I lost a friend today. I wasn't sure if I was going to bring this up or not. And if I get choked up a little bit, that's okay. His name was Jerry Gardner. Jerry was an Army veteran. Jerry was a good man. Jerry served as the vice president of the Right to Carry Association, and I presided over it. And the only reason Jerry was the vice president and I was the president was because Jerry didn't care about titles. And Jerry passed away last night. I found out that Jerry died. His beloved woman called me and we talked, and I'll tell you, I sobbed like a baby on the side of the road when she called me. Jerry was a good man. Jerry was he's the kind of dude that if you took a grandpa figure, you took a uncle, a brother, your favorite buddy, your favorite coworker, a mentor. That was Jerry. Jerry was full of life. He was in his 80s, late 70s. I ran with this guy for like 3 or 4 miles once, and not only was I having a hard time keeping up, but we were having a conversation. This dude was full of life. He always carried several weapons on him. He always carried several non-firearms on him. And Jerry knew as an older man, hey man, I ain't getting in a scuffle. How old was he? He was 83. I'm not getting in a fist fight. I'm not getting into a grappling match. I'm in my 80s. Somebody knocks me down, I can get really hurt. And his training changed accordingly. He taught many young kids to shoot. He taught women to become comfortable with guns. He taught men to live honorably. He was a great friend, a great mentor, and I'm very glad for the time I had with him. But he understood. I can't always. This guy shot more USPSA matches. I think he shot like 40 single stack nationals over the years. If you don't know what that is, you can look it up. This guy wasn't that he was like a great shooter, but he was a competitor. But he wasn't competing with you or me. He was competing with himself to continually be the best that he could be, because he knew there's always somebody faster. There's always somebody stronger. Not recognizing a pre-fight indicator or not having the smoothest draw stroke. There's always somebody that's going to be faster and better. There's always somebody. So, like, if you guys are talking this right now, when I'm listening to people talking about how this dude didn't draw his gun fast enough, it tells me that you don't understand fighting. He shouldn't have drawn his gun. If you like to really get down to it, if you're that close to somebody, you don't draw, you close. He should have grabbed that guy's gun based on what we see. He should have closed with him, put hands on. You don't draw when somebody's an arm length away from you. You close, you dominate their weapon. It's not a happy thing to talk about. Fighting is not fun. And this is the sickness that we have now in this training community. When I say training community, I say we have probably, I would venture to say, a small percentage of all of the armed people in the country actually have these discussions that we're having. And I'm glad that we have them. But of those people having that discussion, I think a lot of folks really don't understand how dirty violence is. Most of the guys, I say this from time to time, and I say it because it gets a rise out of people and gets you to pay attention. Most of my friends would kick your ass. Let me rephrase that. All of my friends, one at a time or all at once, would kick your ass. Mick, why are you saying that? What I'm saying is they're badasses. The guys I pal around with don't care how fast you can draw their gun or draw your gun. They'll take it away from you. They'll close on you. They'll hit you. They'll knock you down. They'll stop you. They will prevail. Not because they're faster or stronger, but because their mind is honed to the point that they're not going to play with these things. Public areas should have security. And who pays for that? We don't. I am in a place of pain, but I'm not in any place of pain where I can't talk coherently about what we're talking about. Don't get me wrong. The dude that stopped this did the right thing. What I'm not going to do is sit and pontificate and wax eloquent about something that's really, really simple. It's a shitty thing. A man got violent. Another man got more violent and killed him. End of discussion. Yet this community of people that carries guns wants to continue to talk about it and talk about it and talk about it. Not in the sense of remembering people that were injured. It happened freaking 2 days ago. Yes, he is a hero, 100%. Don't get me wrong. The problem is that everybody that seems to carry a gun now, and I said this was going to piss some people off, and I'm okay with it, because we are addicted to violence. We're addicted to violence, and we're addicted to it's the media. the people that are putting this, he wasn't at arm's length, really? It's 5, 6, 8, 10 feet away. You're there, bro. This is the part that I think is nauseating to me. Too many people would rather stare at video footage and write comments on Facebook than go out and actually put in the hard work to learn about how to deal with these types of situations. Who's they? Who wants to take guns away? Who's they? Who is they? Mindset. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a lack of mindset. I like to say everybody has a mindset. It just depends on what your mindset is. Yeah, I do understand the blast radius of a shotgun. And most people, I think, don't understand that 20, 30 feet away, that blast radius is about like that. So here we go. This is what I won't do with my time. I will not have a conversation to nowhere where we just spew nonsense, because we could sit and say, what about this? What about that? What if his foot slipped on a banana peel? What if a bolt of lightning hit the roof? What if the bad guy was raised better? What if the bad guy's gun jammed? What if the pastor threw a Bible at him? Very simple. The world is full of good people and bad people. There are more good people than bad. I personally detest, and if this turns somebody off to me, I'm okay with it. I encourage you to actually think about what I'm saying. After years in politics, I have stopped watching the news. What I have found, though, is social media is the same as the news. Not because them or the news outlets are doing it. We do it. Humans. We are addicted to conversation, to gossip, to talking about the same thing over and over again until it's no longer sexy. Hey, what about the shooting that happened back in the spring in Texas? What about the shooting that happened in Las Vegas? These things happen all the time. We just want to jump onto the current thing. We want to jump onto it and say, look, bad anti-gun people, here's a reason we should have a gun. Well, in reality, if that's your argument, then it's not a very good argument, because a gun was in both people's hands. In reality, it's a dumb argument. And please don't get me wrong. I have fought for gun rights for many years and will continue to do so. What I want is for us to professionalize our argument. It's not about social media, though. It's about people. Social media is nothing more than a means of communication for people. Mindset, tactics, skill, gear. Let's see what that says. Yeah, I agree, man. So let's talk about mindset for a minute. A loser has a mindset. A winner has a mindset. A drunk, a drug addict, an alcoholic has a mindset. A very bad, evil person has a mindset. A loving, kind person has a mindset. Somebody that dominates and overcomes violence and evil has a mindset. This word mindset needs to be attached to the proper adjectives. Aggression, but righteously directed aggression. Look, we go to church or to synagogue or to a place of worship not to be keyed up in have to fight bad people. The people that are coming there, for the most part, as I talked about a moment ago, are there because they're hurting, or they're looking to grow as a human. We can, but we don't want to turn our churches into the TSA line at an airport. And that's why we have the TSA lines that we have at airports now, because we can't trust that everybody getting on the airplane doesn't have a freaking knife in their shoe or a bomb in their backpack or computer. I just feel that it is a very flippant way of approaching communicating your feelings. When we look at a murder, that's what this is. It's a murder caught on tape. I'm not talking about the hero shooting this bad man. I'm saying we viewed a murder. This happens so often now, and people take footage of a group of a family of churchgoers that watched one of their members, one of their brothers, one of their uncles, one of their deacons, whatever title this guy had, they watched this person slain. And what do? We share it all over social media, and we make cute little quips and phrases to support our argument. I think we can do a lot better than that. And if you don't like that, if you wanted me to get on here and say, hey guys, here's the breakdown. I'm the YouTube guy that does breakdowns, and I'm going to do a breakdown on what went right and what went wrong. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that. I don't think that is really a good thing. I think it's dishonorable. I think it's disrespectful. I think it's less than. I think it's less than what you and I are capable of, and I won't take part in it. You will see from time to time I share things like that. I'm not gonna while there's still blood on the floor start sharing this stuff. It's like, hey, who can race and share it first? Doesn't that sound just like the newspapers back in the old days? Doesn't that sound just like the news stations? Let's see who can get the hot story and dump it out into the world first to get the most papers sold, or the most views, or the most likes, or the most on-air time. It's horrible. It's horrible. So takeaways: violence is real. Have a plan. What about medical training? What about understanding? So we talk about pre-fight indicators. How about understanding and seeing not even something as a pre-fight indicator, but seeing something that's so out of place? Somebody dressed like that man was in a church service. Maybe talking to him, maybe confronting him in the hallway. These are hard facts that people have to talk about. So we do training for people in these situations, and it's not just physical combative training. It's training to actually intercept and intervene with people that don't belong, to do it and communicate in a polite way where you don't turn them off to the message of your religion. But let them know that you love them enough, and you love the other people in your flock or your congregation or synagogue enough that, hey, I don't know you. Something's making me making you look off to me, my words. And I just want to make sure everything's okay, so that you have a good visit here to our church, and that the people here that visit here and come here every week are going to be safe. You understand, right? That kind of a thing needs to happen in those situations. But we have spun this out of control. I don't want to keep going on and repeating myself. I know some of you want to maybe hone in on some points. You're having a hard time following me, Sean? I don't know are we talking to me? Nobody was expecting this. I don't know what the hell. I should critique what? It's hard to follow some of these contents. Yeah, I wonder if I should just delete this video. It's bothersome to me. I've spent many years of my life working very hard to learn the things I know, train, travel around the country, gathering information, learning from people that have done way cooler stuff than most people. And then when we talk about it, people want to talk about shit. And sometimes I think to myself, why am I wasting my energy talking about it? And if that offends you, that's okay. I'll say from time to time, dig deeper. And when dudes want to say I'm not tracking, am I not communicating clearly? Do I think regular people would do this? Yeah, man, I'm a regular person. I barely graduated from freaking high school. I barely have a high school diploma. Uh, I'm a carpenter. I drove work trucks most of my life and wore muddy boots. I pounded nails. Yeah, I'm a regular freaking person. So, should we not demand excellence from ourselves? Should we not expect, if we wish to proliferate the liberty that we have, that we as regular people who are no different than the shopkeepers and the merchants that hewed this land out of the wilderness that it once was, should we not expect that regular people can speak in a certain manner? Of course we can. How are we any different from those men that signed our declaration? How are we any different from the men and women that created this nation? Dangerous freedom or peaceful slavery, but slavery to what? Here's the fallacy in these modern times is we think it is slavery to a tyrannical leader. It's slavery to our own weakness. There is some lessons to be learned there. Not the way I'm seeing it. I'm looking at people making very immature memes about a person being murdered. There's not as many lessons as you think. I'm sorry. That's the other thing. And I'm not taking or diminishing. There's not as many lessons as you think. Learn how to shoot your fucking gun. Draw efficiently. Close on somebody that's in close proximity to you. Don't allow people into a space that look like they don't belong. Intercept them before they get there. Have a medical intervention ready. All of this stuff is known. That's the bullshit. We tell ourselves, oh, it's for education purposes. No, all of this stuff is known. This isn't it's for education purposes. This is the problem. We are we want to play it. It's like I want to go stare at the train wreck because I can learn something from it. No, you want to look at blood and gore. That's what it is. You want to look at blood and gore. And I'm sorry to say it, all of these things are known. No, out in the internet is the real world. I appreciate that. Putting things out on the internet is putting things out into the real world. That is the real world. Marcus, let me hear, tell me how else I should be seeing it. I want to understand. I'm going to say a couple more things here. I think there's a lot of people that like to shoot guns. And because they like to shoot guns, they want to make money shooting guns. So then they start to find ways that they can make money shooting guns. As such, they begin to think and do things on a level that they are entertaining other people that are at the same level where they're at, rather than really teaching. Let me make videos and talk about what I see. Well, I see it too. I'm watching it. I don't need you to tell me, oh man, here comes a man walking through a door. Here, the man now has what looks to be a gun. And if you look, the clerk has a gun. The clerk steps sideways. Looks like the clerk doesn't. Well, yeah, I'm looking at it. All you're doing is narrating what I see. But we sit, and we stare at that and we think that we're learning. No. Go see my friends that teach jujitsu and learn how to control a person. Operator time. No, I completely disagree. I understand what you're saying. What you're saying, though, I feel that in the truth about your argument is all you're really doing is making the way people are arguing this, it is making that other section of society, who, by the way, have a right to their opinion. People don't like when I say that. I think what we're doing is a bad argument. It's a bad way to argue. It's like, it's almost as if, it's not almost as if we're glorifying, in like nobody's liking this word glorify. We're glorifying violence to try to argue why it is good to have guns. It's not a good argument, and it's not a good argument for people that don't want weapons. That's the other thing. So coming from a guy that has spent years working to change gun laws, this is a really shitty way to argue a point. Someone has to tell the story. Okay, let's hear that. Someone has to tell the story because the media isn't going to mention how it was stopped. Yeah, it's mentioned by the media all over the world. It's mentioned by the media. Here's the thing, guys. And this is really what it always comes down to for me. So we talk about the media. That is really what got me set off the last couple of days. What I keep seeing is no different than the media. And here, I have a speech I talk about on the media. I used to bring this up in political circles. The media is not the media. The media is people just like you and me that run businesses, that run corporations, that tell stories. They're people just like you and me that are good at telling stories. I'm trying to read a little bit. And most of the media didn't leave that out. If you spend 2 minutes reading, you will see this story told all over about a man in the church that was legally armed, that was former law enforcement. It's all over the internet. See, I'm told this stuff all the time by people as well. Oh, the liberal media didn't tell the real story. The sad part is the conservative media does just as much twisting of facts when it comes to things that don't support their way of thinking. Too bad the victims weren't both black or Jews. Okay, you're about to be blocked. That's about the most horrible thing I've ever heard. Goodbye. Just hid him from the channel. That is a perfect example of people that do not and should not be able to take advantage of this type of discussion. Active self-protection, I just saw go by. John's a good dude. You know, Adolf's gone. Whoever wants to call themselves that. Can I make you a moderator? Why would I do that? I don't even know what that means, actually. Well, and it's not even take information from the media. Why should I take information from any of you that share it on your Facebook page? Why should I take any information from anybody at face value? We have to do due diligence. But we've got this echo chamber in this community. It is an echo chamber where we just want to hear each other talk. It's like hanging out at the barber shop where we all just talk and we all agree. That's not changing anything because we already all agree. Let's cultivate a way of communicating that we can help people see the way that we think. It's not let me browbeat you. Yeah, we'll come to Pennsylvania in 2020. I would love to know how you will talk about this when people bring that stuff up all the time. Here's the other thing. So I challenge you guys to really start to do some research on how the human body takes in information. Organizations like Force Science Institute pioneered the study of how the human brain and our senses take in information. So we watch a video like that. The problem in this is a concept that is so completely simple, but people don't understand. So what you're seeing right now, this wide angle lens, is not really what it looks like right here, right? Well, we see this video of this church because this is a good example, and it's this huge wide angle lens. We get to see everything. Nobody in that room saw what we saw. Nobody in that room had what was 20 foot, 12 foot up on a wall with a 170-degree fisheye lens. Nobody was able to push pause, rewind, slow-mo. Nobody was able to watch it over and over. Everybody saw snippets. So the front of our eyes, the foveal vision of our eyes, the portion of our eye that takes in real hard, clear, concise information is only a few degrees, a couple of degrees of all of this vision. That doesn't mean I don't see things in my periphery, but we have what's called inattentional blindness, we humans. Well, thank you, Todd. Appreciate that, brother. We only take in, here's a good analogy. How many of you drove home from work? When you got home, you thought, holy crap, I don't remember driving home. Situational awareness is not what I'm talking about, but I'm going to get to the point. So you get home and you're like, man, I don't even remember the 5-mile drive home. It's not that you weren't paying attention. Your brain literally has done it enough. It went on autopilot and you let your mind wander. It doesn't mean you didn't stop at the stop signs. You didn't turn the turn signal on. Your brain was on autopilot. This conversation goes way deeper than this, but just to make you understand what I'm talking about, most of the people there did not have the luxury of seeing what we saw. They saw a sliver of time and space. Just as we all do at every moment, we see a sliver of time and space. We hear a sliver of time and space. But we try to sit and analyze something like a football play, like a violent encounter, like a basketball game, like a race, a car race. The person in that moment, in that element, did not see anything that you got to see. Who's buckwheat? I have no idea who buckwheat is. No, not like tunnel vision. I'm not talking about tunnel vision. I'm talking about, so here's a key word for you. Go read about foveal vision, F-O-V-E-A-L. How hard would it be to know? I don't understand the question. Again, we're going into a rabbit hole that I'm going to tell you doesn't matter. Can't you guys block him? If I sit here and scroll through these comments, I suppose I can do that. What is this person's name? So I have some Jewish blood in me. Oh, thank you, Screaming Skull. And I've got literal African family members. If there's somebody on here that's some racist douchebag, they can be blocked. Not a problem. Let's do that. Now I've got to spend my time doing this. Thank you, Broperator. You can be my moderator. Now I apologize. My eyes are burning. I can't find him. Only block him for yourself. I don't know what I'm saying here. My eyes have been burning. And now sitting here with this light as I'm trying to talk to you isn't helping matters. Here's the takeaway, guys. No, I'm not talking about, so like things like auditory exclusion, tunnel vision. Those are physical responses and physical phenomenon due to stress. And I'm not talking stress like my job's hard, stress as in stress on your system. I'm talking about just the fact, the Christmas tree. I'm looking at one light on my Christmas tree that's like 10 feet away. As that's happening, all the rest of this information, I'm not taking any of it in. Yes, I can take my brain and I can start to allow it to see the fireplace, to see the TV, to see the wall, to see the camera and lighting over here. But if I'm really looking, that's all I'm taking in. Just like when you're driving down the road and the passenger says, "Oh, look at that cow," or "Look at that funny billboard." You're driving, man. You don't see it. It's not tunnel vision. You can only take so much in. Your brain, your eyes, which are like cameras. Look at that. That looks funny. Only can take so much information in. And it's not because you're not smart or not an amazing creature. There's only so much. You've got this huge wide swath of space. I can't see the fly up on the wall there and see you. It's very, very simple. It's crazy that this camera, how wide it is picking up part of this ring light. I'm telling you this, this is a very well-known thing in reconstruction of crimes using footage. You can't look at the footage and expect that the person in the footage had the same viewpoint as what we saw. I hope your brain is superior. What's going on in Virginia is very analogous to what's going on in the whole country. You know, I like to look at history. People think that this is some new crazy thing. It's not at all. I've talked about this in social media like this since I began sharing my thoughts online. We've had gun control since the very beginning of our union. In the 1780s, there were gun bans. Did you know that in the 1780s, in some of the colonies, most of the colonies, the carrying of a concealed weapon was unlawful? Yep. Not Nick's opinion, that's true. We have this fallacy in our brain that once upon a time, everybody just walked around cocked and locked and ready to rock. Not true. Yeah, I did make that video. I probably should make some more. People don't like hearing that. People misunderstood. I didn't make that video to say, hey, here was gun control, good. The point is that we need to understand that this is how it always, there's the beauty of our nation, of our republic that uses a democracy to vote. People are like, oh, we're not a democracy. Well, yeah, we are. We're a democratic republic. We use a voting system with our republic form of government. That's true. My daughter's home, I hear her. Spiritual battle, huh? We got the old spiritual battle argument. Humans have been humans for all of time. But here's a good one. We had prohibition. Well, it might not be the voice of the people. Dig deeper. Who elected the people that are in power? We the people did. We the people of the state of Virginia. So either through actively voting or by inaction, you elected them. And that is the beauty of our union. And for most of the time that we've been here, the few do the work. Hi, Lucy. The few do the work. The few put in the effort. The few carry the burden. I'm doing a little video here on YouTube. How are you?
Just Peach. How are you?
Doing good.
Nice truck, bro.
Thank you.
No problem.
I'll talk to you in a minute when I finish.
Okay.
I'll come up. Okay, so an argument like people who voted for those who promised more free money, that's not an argument. The fact is, if the good people of Virginia, and people don't like when I say this, I say it to my friends in California, it's what we had here in Illinois. If the people of Virginia really didn't feel that, then get off your butts, go affect the vote. Go out, help put people into office. Well, we don't have any good people. Well, then get them on the ballot, run the campaigns, get the freaking money, pound the signs in the ground. Hey, gun control people, suck it, okay? Bloomberg bought the election. Another funny argument. You can't buy elections. You still need people to go out and vote. So when we say things like the good people of Virginia, and this isn't me knocking on Virginia, it's the same in my state. It's the same in every state. I have a really simple philosophy about success. Those that carry the load get it, man. You can pay, yes, for billboards. So when people say they bought the election, what are you saying? You're saying they paid for advertising. They paid for billboards and for signage. They paid for TV ads. That doesn't, I can have a billboard on every street corner. There can be signs everywhere. There can be a commercial on my television every 2 seconds. That doesn't make me go fill the ballot out. That doesn't make me not go to the ballot. We choose. We choose. These are cop-outs. And I am sorry, I love you, but if you're reciting this bullshit narrative, get over it, man. It comes down to action. Money's not the problem. It always comes down to action or inaction. Just like in that church, action versus action, or reaction, action versus inaction. Do you believe tampered votes? So I have literally sat for days through the recounting of a vote in a clerk's office. Does it happen? Yeah, but not like people think it does. The people in a clerk's office would be committing a felony and would be literally looking at going to prison for a felony charge. Most of these people are making 10, 15, 20 bucks an hour, and they know what they're doing. They would have to, and you would have to have a huge conspiracy to make that work. So no, having been involved in the election process, attending training for people that run, and I can only speak in my state. Does it happen? And has it happened in the history of our country and other countries? Sure. I don't think it's like people say. I think Illinois is going to try to pass some laws like that. Unfortunately, we worked very hard to get our last governor in, and a lot of other people at the same time. We've got some really, really entrenched people in Illinois, just like other places. And this is something else that's happened for all of time in our country. Our beautiful nation is an experiment in liberty. It is okay. It is okay for people not to want guns in America. That is their right to think that way. But it's really a cultural issue. Because what's happened is, when I say it's been this way for all of time, you get people move to certain areas. Certain areas of the East Coast are traditionally more liberal in nature. Areas of the South and Southwest traditionally more conservative in nature. People move there because they want to be around people that think like them. It's a cultural issue. We are now training our children differently. We are electing people. Did any of you see the podcast we did on the mayor of Minneapolis? They're banning warrior training for their police. It's a cultural issue. I'm not going to say it's a religious thing, because guess what? Study the history of religion in our nation, and some people that folks like to say were really religious dudes owned other people. So I kind of have a hard time with that. But it's against the Constitution. Well, funny, it's not against the Constitution. I can think whatever I want. Now, for that being said, though, and this is a hard thing people don't understand, the Bill of Rights can be changed. The Bill of Rights didn't exist when the Constitution was written. Don't say it. Well, yeah, the Bill of Rights didn't exist until after the Constitution was written. The Constitution does nothing. The government, though, is us. I think minimum experience would be go seek at least 40 hours, I would say, of legitimate training, be able to show some proficiency with a weapon. Um, it's a heavy thing, man. That's not something I can just flippantly tell you a response for. I'm sorry. Um, I think that if you wish to go out in public with a weapon to protect yourself and others, with a tool that can launch a projectile and kill innocent people, you need to really put some thought into that. I like that you're asking that question. Send me a message on our website, and I'll try to answer that more in depth. The long and the short of it, guys, is though where I'm going with this, we're kind of having this roundabout discussion now, from the shooting in Texas to kind of the culture war in America to how we can win races. We can't just always, well, we always will be at odds with somebody that doesn't agree with us. We always will be. The Bill of Rights. What about the Bill of Rights? Now, the Constitution doesn't just confirm our God-given rights. It does. It really, the Constitution is an agreement between us people. The Bill of Rights is a definition of rights defined again by man, but saying that they were ours as a living creature. Some say God, others don't. So I'm not so concerned about that. Not because I've got an issue with the God part of it, but because that's really not what the founders were talking about. They were saying that it wasn't man's right to even inject or take away these things. Every living creature has a right to protect him or herself, and that they knew. That said, though, and this was the point I started to make a second ago, the Bill of Rights has been changed. It was created after the Constitution. Other amendments, so the Bill of Rights is just the first chunk of the Constitution, right? The Constitution's had amendments. Women became eligible to vote. Blacks were freed from slavery by a constitutional amendment. Thank you. The Volstead Act, another good one. Prohibition. It's far from worthless. You know what? This whole thing, it's worthless because the Democrats, Republicans have tread upon the rights of others just as much. The whole Patriot Act that we have that infringes upon our rights to privacy came from Republicans. This is the part that I can't stomach, guys. This is the part that I'm not going to toe the line because I'm a conservative, so I must say, like the damn liberals. It's both sides. It's both sides. It's not even parties. Like I say, it's people. It's people. I'm just reading some of what you guys have to say. The minds of people are being swayed too easy. No man can be swayed that doesn't allow himself to. We choose our thoughts. We choose our deeds. We choose what we spend our time thinking about. This is a real it's a real sticking point for me. I am a firm believer in personal responsibility. That really is the heart of America. People talk about America being faith in God. Truly, in my opinion, America is faith in self. And that's not mean being godless. I believe in God, but it's faith in self. And it's faith in self in a sense that I will do my part. So if you're a religious person, faith without works is dead. And that is the hard part that I have with so much of these discussions. You as an individual need to do your part. Your part as a citizen, your part to carry the load, to become whatever it is you want to be in your life. Nobody sways my mind. I choose what to view. I choose what to think. I choose what to read. I choose what to listen to on the radio. I choose what to daydream about. And so do you. We don't live in some culture where we're force-fed anything. Now, you may say that you are subliminally fed things. Sure you are, and you choose whether or not to act on those. You choose to be doing this right now. You choose. Unfortunately, this society decides upon a majority. I don't know what that means, bro. Universities are brainwashing our youth. No, moms and dads and we the people are running universities. We the people are paying to send our kids there. Those people are paid by us. They're not. That's again. I'm very much into personal responsibility. Any argument that you give me, I'm pretty sure I can immediately turn it back onto us. We. Yeah, I agree with that, bros and brodettes. Doesn't make sense. Guys, who's we? It's we the people. It's we the people. It is we the people that make up this organization that we call our great cause, the country. Civil war is indeed an outrageous notion. I agree, man. Extreme ownership. Let's talk about extreme ownership, so it's fun. From time to time, I've never heard that term, but people coin phrases, right? It becomes sexy books and shit. How's this for extreme ownership? 56 dudes. I talk about this in social media from time to time, and it stirs my guts. It causes tears to well up in my eyes because of the gravity of their decision. 56 men, imperfect men that I will not, through the optic of history, try to paint to be perfect because they're men, which means they're not. 56 of them sat down over the course of some years. They argued, they toiled. Some of them did not want to sign that declaration. Some of them did not want to go to war, but then they decided to do it. Henry said, look, we sit here idly while our brothers are out in the field. Yet here we are talking. My words, not his, but close enough. We're sitting here idly talking as our brothers are out in the fields. Benjamin Franklin wasn't pro-England. Benjamin Franklin was the greatest patriot that we had. But my point, my dudes, is these guys, there's no more extreme ownership than that. They signed their own death warrants. Now, history has in some ways made some of these guys out to have maybe been a little bit more downtrodden than they were, but at the very least, they signed on for a very hard time, and they did it. They signed on knowing that people were going to die. They signed on knowing some of them were going to be run out of their house and homes, that their fortunes would be taken. And that is what they agreed upon, our sacred honor. They didn't agree on our sacred dollar. They didn't agree upon their sacred good time. They didn't agree as long as it goes well. They said upon our sacred honor. And that's the part that I think that we are now missing. I've talked about this lately because it's come up lately in my life where somebody did some dishonorable stuff. And I've been dishonorable in my life. I've talked about this before. I've had handcuffs put on me. I've done stupid things. I've done things that were less than desirable. And I didn't completely learn from them at the time, but years and years have gone by and you do learn. Our sacred honor. Their honor wasn't just to their cause, but it was to each other. It wasn't just to each other then, but to each other now, knowing. Adams talked about it. He said, we might not know what this is all about, but one day he said they'll launch aerial rockets. They'll have parties. There will be parades and festivities celebrating what we did in this time. He said it hundreds of years beforehand. And when you read what he wrote, it wasn't saying they're going to worship us. No, they knew that this great cause of liberty, this great cause of this freedom wasn't so that everybody could agree. It was to create a place where you could disagree and it was okay, where some king or some queen couldn't put your head in a gallows or your neck in a gallows or put your head in a guillotine. It wasn't some place where you would be locked up if you disagreed with the government. That was the great cause of liberty. It was this place where you could live and you could think and you could rationalize whatever it was you wanted to do with your life. That is this great cause. That was their sacred honor. It was their honor not just to them, but to us. They knew if we do this now, we will set a blaze of fire in the history of the world that only the people in the future can put out. Now it isn't incumbent upon us. This isn't about politicians. You're responsible, not them. You elected them. That's the problem. It's not. We put out these little things. It's like, well, if I just say something that maybe sounds good, then I've done my part. No, it's not politicians that need to be held accountable. We need to be held accountable, and in doing so, we hold them accountable. That is the job of the citizen. We hold them accountable. We hold them accountable. We tell them what's up. And you know how we hold them accountable? We remove them from office. If you believe the elections on how to change what the hell? Yeah, having affected elections that we shouldn't have won, the preordained election argument is conspiracy nonsense by people that don't want to put in hard work. We've won races that we shouldn't have run, should not have won. I will not be taking part in a rally in Virginia. I will be doing a class. It's not just, don't call me that. That's silly. It's not just about voting though. You know, if you don't like the mayor in your town, go ask your buddy to be the mayor. If you don't like the people on the school boards, maybe we need to start a series of videos on this. But what I have found and why I haven't invested the energy in doing it, to be completely honest, is most people will not do any of the things I say. As such, and it's not that because I'm saying them, but if I spelled out how you could win some elections in your area, most people are not going to do it. I've taken enough time away from my goals and my family to do that I'm just not sure I want to invest the energy in it. That said, I have told people, and I've got a friend that's running for office for one of the largest sheriff's offices in the United States. We're helping him. I've told people, if you want help, I've got the people. We know how to raise money. We know how to do it. We've done it. We've done it many times, and we can do it again. But you've got to carry the burden in your community. You need to hold. If you call up a legislator in your community and you tell them, hey, I'm not going to vote for you again, yeah, big deal. If you can wield a large amount of votes, good stuff. If you can convince somebody based on your actions, not just your words, that, hey, there's a very good possibility that you're going to be out because me and my friends, we work really hard. You know, this whole liberty thing takes a lot of work. People are not going to like what I'm about to say. Every one of us has the country that we deserve. We have it because that's the amount of work we put in. If you have a lawn that's got a bunch of overgrown weeds and trees that need trimming and a fence that needs mending and a house that needs painting and landscaping that's askew, you have the yard that you worked for. If you drive around your neighborhood and you just see this styling yard where everything's perfect, where everything is tight and right and just trimmed beautifully, two things happened. Either the owner worked really hard or the owner worked really hard and spent his or her money to pay somebody else to do it. Same thing, right? Because somebody had to work. They knew when they created this, this is the only country that's ever had this liberty that we have. What about those we don't elect? Well, you did elect them. You did. Your community did. That's the kind of the deal with this whole social system that we have. Not socialist, but if all your neighbors vote the person in, then you did. We have exactly what we deserve. We're in a really great time. You know, we've got 20 years of war where our brothers and our sisters have gone to other places to fight people that wish to hurt us. But we have not had our homes blown up here, not since the Civil War. We haven't had war on our soil. Go to Gettysburg, go to Shiloh, go to these battlefields and read about, holy crap, there is a grave right there with 1,000 bodies in it. Go to the Civil War battle sites like Brandywine and read about what happened at these places. And think about your community, your city square, your town hall, the farm fields around your house. And imagine bombs and people shooting each other and dying and having to bury corpses in your farmland outside your house because there's too many bodies for anybody to do anything with them. We've not had that here. And I hope that we don't. We are so blessed to have this world, but right now we've got a society of people that are reaping the benefits. So we've got this yard that's all dialed in. Yeah, man, September 11th isn't what I'm talking about. Not at all. Not even close to what I'm talking about. That was a very horrible, isolated instance. I'm talking about, go to France. Look at what happened during the D-Day invasion. Go to Luxembourg. Go to Italy. That's what I'm talking about. Places where war ravaged the country for months or years. The Baltics. We don't have that here. I'm not talking about like an isolated instance of mayhem and death, which is completely horrible and in no way, shape, or form am I diminishing 9/11. But that's what has now put us into a path of 20 years of war. I don't live in New York City. Yeah, I'm sure for you did, but that's not what I'm talking about. That's not, and even then, that's still an isolated instance. The bombings in London that happened, I'm not talking about present day, in World War II, World War I, what happened in Europe. Millions of people, you guys, millions of people died during World War I. Not thousands, millions of people. Think about that. Millions of human beings slain in battle. We don't have that. That's not where I'm going though. Where I'm saying is we have, because of those wars, because of what our founders did, because of what people did before us, because of the load they carried. The house that you're living in right now, if you didn't build it, you might have paid for it, but it's there because somebody else carried a load. Somebody else dug a hole. Somebody else stood the walls up. Somebody else put the shingles on. Somebody else, you might have paid for it, but you get my point? Right now, we live in a place, somebody else carried the load. Somebody else, I'm not talking about wars coming. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it is your job to continue to carry the load. This is the part that blows my mind, where you guys lose track of something that I'm talking about that I think is a pretty succinct point. Do your part. Carry the load. This price of liberty and freedom is not free. It is not owed to you. It is not owed to you, not one fucking bit. The people that came before us, they paid it, man. Now it's on you. It's on you. You do your part. Don't blame it on politicians. Don't blame it on colleges. Don't blame it on schools. Don't blame it on them. Blame it on you. If you so choose to call yourself a lover of freedom, a lover of liberty, a patriot, a proliferator of truth in the righteous American dream, the righteous American way, then do it. Do it. That's all I got. When I see certain comments like that, what I see is that our brain is in a spot different from that spot, which will actually change something. When we make little quips and comments, it says to me that person right there isn't ready to carry the load. They want to continue to come up with things to push the burden off onto. Well, it's not my fault. It's the politicians, man. It's this guy. It's that guy. Which is, part of the reason that I don't have a lot of these chats. It's a lot of energy for me to sit here and talk for an hour and 15 minutes, whether you think it is or not. It's taxing on me. I'm tired. I want to have these talks. I think that we can help each other. And it means a lot to me that you guys listen for the little bit that I know from the great people that I've met in my life. And it's all it comes down to. I want to change things by changing my own life, not worrying about what other people are doing. Yeah, man, I dig it. I hope that you guys have a wonderful new year. I hope everything is a load. Think about it. I want to comment on that. Everything is a load. This is just simple energy, man. The first law of thermodynamics. Matter is neither created nor destroyed. You get out of bed in the morning, you carry a load, your body. You decide what you're going to do that day. When I say carry a load, it's not just physically pick up a weight, but you either exercise or you don't. You drink water or you drink some garbage crap in the morning. You eat something good or you don't eat something good. You do some calisthenics or you don't. You invest your energy, your mental energy. You invest it in your drive to work, in listening to something that builds you into a better person, or you listen to some garbage crap on the radio that fills your brain so that you don't have to think. You can just keep going through this. Everything that is worth anything required an expense of energy. That is the load that I'm talking about. That's it. Thanks, guys. So I hope that you have a good 2020. I hope that your New Year's tomorrow is safe, fantastic. Let's work together, guys, to be leaders in our community, to be leaders in our homes, and seek to do right. All of us, I can't speak for you, but I'm assuming we all fail from time to time. Pick yourself up, admit when you're wrong. I think that's going to be one of my hard focuses for 2020. I want to be much better at accepting when I'm wrong, and not just saying I'm wrong, but learning from whatever the issue is. And I want to be around less people that have a hard time doing that. Be well. Back to the main point. Thank you, sir. Back to the main point here is watching videos is cool, but it is no substitute for actual training. It is no substitute for honing your brain, honing your hands, honing your mind to do the right thing at the right time. I hope you guys have a good evening. Be well, friends.